This is Newslink right here on ENCA. Now, the pathologist who attended to the crime scene the night that Senzo Meyiwa was killed will take the stand today. Just last week, the trial had focused on police officers who were present at the time and at the crime scene. But just yesterday, we also heard the court hearing as well evidence from accused number 3's girlfriend, Kagiso Tefu. But our reporter, Manqoba Mchunu, is in court and is available to us now to bring us the very latest, just right before court begins, to get some context as to what happened yesterday, but also equally important, what is expected today? Manqoba, good morning to you, colleague. I mean, some evidence we heard yesterday, I suppose in terms of the nature of the relationship between accused number 3 and his girlfriend, Kagiso Tefu, but also just remind us perhaps in terms of, the significance of their testimony as well as that of Leslie Khapula, the landlord.
Well, certainly, Dumel, and I think what we've been hearing for the past few days is evidence around accused number 3, with a sharp focus, of course, about his appearance in 2015. And this is just before he had been arrested for an unrelated case to the Senzo Meyiwa murder trial. But what we do know is that from the evidence that we heard in court last week, this evidence seems to just suggest that there was a firearm that had been recovered from accused number 3 during his arrest on the 9th of February in 2015, and this is for a taxi-related killing that had happened in Alexandra. And we heard that that firearm was meant to have been destroyed in 2017, but also in 2020, 3 years after it was meant to have been destroyed, this is when the investigators in the Senzo Meyiwa case had then taken that particular firearm. But I think also what we heard from the witnesses that took the stand yesterday, firstly the landlord, Khapula, testifying to the fact that at the time of his arrest, Mngube had dreadlocks on his head, and this is just 3 months or 4 months rather after Senzo Meyiwa had been killed. He confirmed that he had been residing at his property during the time of his arrest. And also we heard from his girlfriend, Kagiso Tefu, who also confirmed the fact that at the time, Mngube, when they met back in January 2020, he had dreadlocks, but are also crucially confirming the arrest that happened on the 9th of February in 2015. She says it was around 4 p.m. in the afternoon when police had then swooped in on the property and had arrested Mngube. At the time, she says 2 of the male officers had gone inside the house while she remained with a female police officer outside of the house. And this is where they found this firearm on top of the wardrobe. She says it was about 20 to 25 centimeters, and we know now that that firearm, he was then arrested, and it's this very firearm that is in question at this particular trial. We still haven't heard exactly how it's been linked to this particular case, but I guess that is the evidence we're still going to hear as the state continues to lay its foundation as far as this is concerned. But I think let's get some more analysis on this, and joining me now is Elton Hart, who is a law expert. Elton, thank you very much for your time. I think crucial evidence emanating from this case as far as accused number 3 is concerned. We recall that part of the evidence that we've heard in court is that one of the intruders in the house had dreadlocks just prior, or when that particular shooting has happened. What do you think the state is heading to as far as this evidence is concerned?
No, Manqoba, it's actually clear what the state wants to do is now. The state, first they led evidence to say that there was a bullet head that was found on top of the shelves behind vases by people that actually, the forensic experts that actually came to actually sweep the scene. They found that bullet head, and that bullet head came or was discharged from a gun that was found in possession of accused number 3, where he was staying at the moment, at that point in time in 2015. So they want to say, okay, now we bring your girlfriend come and testify you had dreadlocks at the time. The landlord said you had dreadlocks at the time, and we found the gun at your place. Now we link the gun with a bullet head that was found in the premises where Senzo Meyiwa was killed. So it means that if that bullet head came out of the gun that was in your possession in 2015 January, you then ought to have been on the scene on the night that Senzo Meyiwa was killed. So with the evidence before us, it's not clear-cut, it's on circumstances that they want to place him on the scene. We have heard in the past that they said the bullet that actually killed Senzo Meyiwa was not discharged from the firearm that was found. So I think the state wants to draw that link, or make a causal link between firearm in his possession, the bullet, and saying from the pathologist now, the bullet that actually was found on the cupboard behind the vases was the one that inserted Senzo Meyiwa, giving the fatal blow, and then actually led to his death. And that's why accused number 3 is the trigger man.
And as far as the police investigation is concerned, Alton, there's been a lot of questions about how police had processed that crime scene. In fact, the defense insisting that there might have been tampering, and that really this is the police cover-up as far as this is concerned, trying to link some of the accused to this case that has happened. I mean, does the defense, have any legs to stand on as far as raising some of these concerns on the police's work in this case?
Manqoba, indeed, it is horrifying that a police officer who was trained, that would get to a crime scene, leave a crime scene unattended for maybe in between half an hour and a half to 2 hours, unattended, and go to the hospital to say that they're going to look for a complainant and come back. And we know that there is statements by the 2 Ngobeni ladies that says they saw Mapiri was busy cleaning the scene. So that already speaks to the crime scene when Senzo Meyiwa was shot, and which actually led to his death, was not the crime scene that was found by the forensic. And we're not saying what the photos depict at this point in time is not how they saw it. That's how they saw it after Mapiri and some other people was in the house. And that is where we say the crime scene. There was a crime scene found, but was it in the original state when the shot or shots was fired that actually led to the death of Senzo Meyiwa? I doubt, because there's already evidence before this court that shows they did not do what they were supposed to do as police officers, hand a crime scene over to another police officer on duty in that jurisdiction, which they did not do.
Do you think, though, Alton, that is going to have any effect on what the state is trying to build up to, and the links between the accused, especially accused number 3, with this particular murder that had happened?
For me, it's still, we had some guy previously testifying that he looked at the gun and he checked to see if the bullet that was actually found was actually discharged from the firearm, or from the firearm found in possession of accused number 3. And there's no clear-cut evidence. Now, I think that the state is trying to say that accused number 3 was also on the scene. And based on circumstantial evidence, the only logical conclusion is that he knows, and he was acting in a common purpose with the other people that, or the person that actually shot Senzo Meyiwa. I think that's the only way that they can try and work this, because they cannot say that the bullet that they found behind the vases on a cupboard somewhere is the one that actually penetrated Senzo Meyiwa that led to his death. So for me, I think that's where the defense is also going to try and say, yes, it was there, but yes, the crime scene was left unattended. And the whole notion and narrative that we put before court, that we say there was tampering with the crime scene, is this not just where the police was covering up to make sure 5 innocent people that had nothing to do with the commission of this crime is actually held accountable for it, and the people that actually did it is roaming the streets freely. And I said from the beginning, the 7 people that was in the house were supposed to be charged with these 5 guys.
Okay, thank you very much, Alton Hart, for your time this morning. Well, we're expecting, of course, proceedings to continue today with a pathologist, a forensic pathologist who examined Senzo Meyiwa's body to take the stand today, and of course is going to detail what really led to Senzo Meyiwa's death and the injuries that he had suffered from that gunshot wound. What we do understand from the evidence we've heard in court, it suggests that there was one shot fired that had killed Senzo Meyiwa. But we're going to hear more of that evidence when court resumes at 10 this morning.
All right, we'll leave it there. Thank you so much, Manqoba Mchunu. As soon as court begins, we'll be taking our viewers live inside court. Expected a pathologist to provide evidence, and the pathologist, we understand, was at the crime scene the night that Senzo was killed.